Pura vida, pure life. I love when I learned that. I was actually on a 10-day vacation down to first time ever, only time so far. I'd love to go back in Costa Rica. Never been there, Central America. It's amazing, an amazing place. Has all the beauty of Mexico, and the people are even friendlier. And no drug cartels, at least that I know of. But that's where I first learned that Pura Vida, Puravida, pure life, because they say that a lot there. Pura Vida, vida. If you want to sound like you know what you're talking about, not da, vida, vida, perda, vida. That's it for my Spanish. Thank you. Good night, everybody. See you later. All right. I have a couple of great guests on. David and Crystal Knapp. They have a magazine called Reach Up, and they're reaching out and helping and encouraging and uplifting women who have found themselves in bad spots, bad places, making poor life choices, whatever. The government has been shut down over a month now. You've seen the videos of the people screaming about losing their EBT, their food stamps, their SNAP, which is all the same thing. They just keep changing the name of it because it sounds a little more palatable. SNAP, what the heck is that? So never apply personally. I don't know. Anyway, you've seen the videos of the people losing their minds over it. The oddest thing is they're blaming President Trump for it, which is pretty hilarious. But what do I expect? They don't really, that's what they get from the media. Mainstream media is full of liars, thieves, and crooks. I know I've been in the media my entire adult life. Now I'm part of the alternative media. Thank you, Lord. No more holding back. No more not saying what's real. So what's real is the Democrats, as I affectionately call them, who have orchestrated this shutdown in such a way that they're trying to protect healthcare, bottom line, for illegal aliens, not undocumented workers or undocumented Democrats. It was a push for 4 years under Biden to change the voter rolls by the millions, because they know for the most part people who come up from Central and South America and the others that were coming in from China and from all over the world. It wasn't just Central and South Americans that were streaming across our southern border and our northern border. They were coming in through Canada too, by the millions. Just had J.J. Carroll on recently, and he said, by his estimates and all his calculations, this is a retired Border Patrol commander, J.J. Carroll. He said, Charlie, it's 50 million. 50 million. So check out those videos of these people losing their minds about losing their SNAP. Well, what about the women who are seriously in trouble? They haven't cheated the system. They have made some possibly poor life choices, haven't we all? How much time you got? I'll share a few of mine with you. But I'd rather have Crystal and David Knapp talk about it and tell you what they're doing at Reach Up Magazine on Do Not Talk. Are you ready? Hit it. Well, hello, howdy. Welcome to the big old bad old broadcast. How are y'all?
Doing great. Thanks for the invitation.
Absolutely. I'm glad to have you on. I want to know more about Reach Up Magazine. How did this get started?
Well,
my wife, I'll let my wife tell you what's going on. Here's a quick summary. Reach Up Magazine is Crystal's passion and heart, but it came from an experience. I'll have her tell it to you about her time as a single lady working in the inner city of New York City among young people. And as a result of that, it was an aggressive sidewalk Sunday school program. and they would bus in kids from all over the area. And she had a particular area she's responsible for. From that, she's in the homes of people at and much below the level of poverty. So she was there for quite a while. I'll let her tell you what it was like.
Please do.
Yeah, so yeah, I was 9 years in the inner city, Bedford-Stuyvesant, and then my route was actually 6 by 9 blocks in East New York. And especially during that time, it was very dangerous. And I was in and out of the homes all the time. You were developing relationships and bringing them into Sunday school and whatnot. Yep.
This was through a church outreach then?
Yes. Yeah.
So it was a volunteer thing. It's not like you had some kind of
No.
government job or anything
No, it
like
was
that.
not government, but it was
Wow.
a volunteer. We were
Oh, okay.
paid.
Gotcha.
And part of the philosophy was that you earned your street creds, your street respect. We lived in inner city housing. So I lived in ghetto housing. I lived right there. And, it really does open your eyes to what they're going through and what it's like. So I did 9 years of that. We were a
Wow.
very aggressive inner city ministry. In any given week, we were reaching 20,000 kids. So when I say aggressive, we worked really hard. And I was asked to speak to the women in the summer. They did a women's retreat in the summer, and Reach Up came out of that. I was requested, here's your topic, and here we've got all these hours for you to fill: Friday night, Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon, and whatnot. So the topic was peace in the home, and I divided it between spiritual peace, and then I thought, I'm going to talk about physical peace. I am going to talk about their homes. So I began, I'd been in and out of it. I know what I was seeing. So I began to teach about cleaning your bathroom, decorating for the seasons, doing different things. And the response
Making it a home.
Making it a
Making
home.
it a home. Yeah.
And they knew that I knew what they were dealing with. I know what brown water in the summer is all about. I know about wearing your coat during the winter because it's so cold. I know these things, and they knew I knew it. And they were bold enough to say, in fact, when I was talking about decorating for the seasons, one lady goes, "I don't do that." And I said, "Okay. But it makes an old place look new 4 times a year." And there was a audible, "Oh." So they understood. They began to
I've
see
never heard it
things.
put that way. I love that. That's fantastic.
Well, and they responded. I had women coming back and saying, I went home and I cleaned my bathroom. One woman 2 weeks later asked me to come over, and she very proudly showed me how she had cleaned out her living room. She was really close to being what I would term maybe a hoarder. And she had cleaned it out and with pride showed me her living room. The Lord showed me, he said, in that moment, well, no, I'll back up. So at the end of these sessions, I knew that I was leaving, and I had hoarded a few magazines myself, and I was offloading them. And very carefully, I stated to our women, I said, these magazines are, well, they don't really understand our city. It's not multicultural, but if you want them, you can have them. If you don't, that's fine. Well, they scarfed them up, and they're looking through them. And God just dropped in my heart and understanding there's nothing out there for them. And so literally within days, I began to realize, oh my goodness, I've been in all the bodegas. There is not one ladies' magazine that understands what life is at or below the line of poverty.
If I may, in my experience with these magazines that are directed and written specifically towards women, it's always these people are better than you, and you can aspire to be as great as they are, as beautiful as they are, as successful as they are. That doesn't motivate somebody, those in the situation, it feels like they've had everything taken away from them, and they could
Right.
never attain that. I can understand that. Yeah.
And there's nobody in the magazine that looks like them. There is nobody. I can't afford $100 skirt. You know, the advertising is irrelevant. Nothing worked.
Right.
And so God just dropped into my heart the name, everything at that point.
I think it's awesome. I love that, and there are a lot of magazines and publications that target specific people groups. So if you're into hunting, you can find plenty of magazines about that. If you're into sports, if you're into car racing, if you can get as minute as if you're into collecting butterflies, you'll find a magazine that's directed towards that. But nothing towards inner city folks like this. That's at their where they meets them where they are in any kind of publication that I know of. I think that's extraordinary. How's it been going for you?
It's been going well. Back to your comment. Um, we are part of the Evangelical Press Association, and there is no magazine within that network and within the executive director's knowledge base. We asked AI, and it had came back as none. So I corrected it. I said there is Reach Up magazine, and so they go, "Oh, you're right." So um, we are actually pretty. We're breaking new ground. I hope, honey.
David, what
Yeah.
was your involvement with all this?
Okay, the whole story is my wife and I have been married about 12 years, so she was single back then, and but now, of course, us being together, and particularly more recently, when we first met about 12 years ago, the publication for Reach Up magazine was running about 600 copies. Right this minute, we have in house the next issue of Reach Up magazine, and Charlie, there's 16,000 copies sitting out there waiting to be packaged and shipped out next week. So that the progress has been amazing. My career has been with a missionary agency. I was a career missionary since 1972, and so we travel a lot. So after Crystal and I got together, then when we would travel, often I would just make extra time, stay an extra day in an area where I was speaking or we had contacts, and we would make cold contacts with agencies that we knew would be working with women of this demographics, whether they're halfway houses, shelters, rescue missions, clinics that work with the underprivileged. And so at the moment, there's about 250 agencies or individuals nationwide that are currently using the magazine in one way or another, whether it's an ICE facility in Louisiana or whether it's a chiropractic office here in our area that puts them out on the table. It varies a great deal on how they're being used.
This is extraordinary. I love this. I'm so glad that I met you both. Crystal, almost a decade of living, not only serving people in the inner city, but living amongst them in New York, which is some of the worst when it comes to public housing. I'm sure, if not every one of them, most of them were in Section 8 housing, which means they're getting their housing for very little money, some of them even free. And they're on public assistance because they probably all had children and they're getting money per child that they have.
Mhm.
Even if the father is in the picture, they never claim that the father is, because then they lose those benefits. They never claim who it is. They never put it on the birth certificate or anything, father unknown. And next thing you know, you're getting 1,000, 1,100, 1,200 bucks per month per child.
Yeah.
And that they seem to think that that's all they know. Maybe even their parent, single parent, was living that same lifestyle, because this is so it just keeps going and going. Living in that area and living the way you did, did you have any moments where you thought, "Oh, no, I'm in trouble. This is dangerous"?
Yeah, there were times that it was dangerous. I was, in some respects, a bit naive. Um, I was literally walking down the street and there was shooting going on, and I said to the 12-year-old kid that was my helper, I said, "Is that real?" And he goes, "Yes." I said, "Should we do anything?" He goes, "No." And we just kept on walking. So I walked into a police sting once and had to get out of the way. Yeah, it was dangerous. And, um, that's one of the reasons we worked with kids. And yes, it was a few years ago. And what you're describing is real.
Yeah.
I think what isn't always understood is that when you lose generation after generation to alcohol, it started with alcohol and then drug addiction and HIV. We had kids raising kids. You have children that they have no concept of any other life, and so you know the kids didn't ask to get born. The kids didn't ask to be in that situation, and that's where at least my desire and other ministries and agencies, because they don't have to be Christian. I mean, they've got programs going on, teaching classes and whatever,
Yeah.
to help inspire, educate, and help them get out of it. And so that's where Reach Up has come in. We don't talk about our women, but we do talk with them. And yeah, they've had many things happen to them, and that is for the most part, especially in the inner city, but it can be in rural America, it can be in others. When you've had the breakdown of the family, then you don't know how to raise the next generation.
No, and they're all in public education, I'd imagine, because they can't, they're not going to be able to afford to send their kid to a private school or a Christian school or anything like
Yeah.
that. And in public education, they're learning that you better become part of a gang if you're even going to survive. And the women, they're taught basically, I hope you find somebody who's got money. Because other than that, forget it. There's this is going to be your life. This is how they're raised. This is what they believe. And I know this from working in different ministries I've been involved in, city team ministries in San Francisco, as I affectionately call it, and San Jose. I saw a lot of this. I know
Yeah.
exactly what you're talking about. But a lot of times it's got to be discouraging to you, David. How do you lift up Crystal when she gets discouraged and thinks, why are we even spinning our wheels like this? Because we're reaching out to people who don't seem to care or even need us or want us.
One of the fundamental things that a lot of people need to be aware of is that Crystal and I's personal base is established on God's word. Both she and I grew up, we've had the privilege, and the more I am around, I realize a unique privilege of growing up in a stable home, a Christian home. Crystal was actually a PK, preacher's kid, and I've been a career missionary my whole life. I've taught and been the professor in a Bible college and a speaker in conferences around the country and abroad, in fact. And so based on both of our lifetime experience of walking with God and the confidence in our faith and knowing God is taking care of us before, he's going to do it today and he'll do it tomorrow. We'll be okay. All right. And we lean on each other, but mostly on the Spirit of God to maintain and keep working. And so, the calling of God is without repentance. And God has called Crystal, and now I'm helping her with this ministry that of filling a gap and reaching a need, something that's not out there. And in fact, we've broadened it. We use the term marginalized a lot because our demographics today, and we try to help people understand by saying at or below the level of poverty, but Charlie, there's women in prison who are receiving copies of the magazine. There's several halfway houses, meaning ladies getting out of prison that receive the magazine. There's pregnancy crisis centers that are receiving the magazine. There's a location in Tucson, Arizona that the courts send women coming out of prison to get clothing so they can have nice clothes to go and to for an interview. Guess what? Every bag that comes out of there gets a copy of Reach Up magazine in it.
Awesome.
There's an ICE facility in Louisiana that orders 600 copies quarterly of the magazine. The chaplain at that facility was a former Baptist preacher, and he says, "Oh, thank God," he says, "the government ties my hands on so much I can do. I can give them this. This is great. Thanks." He orders 500 copies of Spanish and 100 of English. And so it's really broadened out now, and the need is huge. I mean, we could go on for hours talking about all those things.
People, God's people, there's a reason why Jesus told us to pray for workers to go into the field, because the fields are white and ready for harvest.
That's right.
But there's not enough of us going out there and reaching out to them for the Lord. This is wonderful. And my experience with when you give your life to the Lord, truly, and you say, "Here I am, send me," He will send you to oftentimes things and places that you never even expected or you have no experience in. And I don't know about you, but I know I can make this work. I'm going to keep doing this. I'm going to stick with it. It'll work. It'll work. And then when the rug gets pulled out from under me, and I'm thinking, well, I thought that was it. I thought that was what I was supposed to do. Whatever the Lord brings next for me is always far greater than what I had.
Yeah.
Maybe not financially or being success in the eyes of the world, but just the blessings of doing the Lord's work can be so amazing and bring you that peace beyond all understanding that the Lord promises. So I know when it comes to magazines and any kind of newspaper like that, there's deadlines. Do you do this? Are you weekly, monthly, quarterly?
Well, we try to be quarterly. I say try because it really depends on our funding. And then because of my background, I try to work it so that if they are the type of an agency and that works with the holidays and does outreaches, that it is something to connect to their outreaches. So this is why this goes out next week in time for Thanksgiving and Christmas. So yes, we're at least 3 times a year, if not 4 times a year.
You'd probably like to do more, but I don't know if are people, do they buy subscriptions or do you just give these away?
Currently, our method of operation is we offer the magazines to the agencies or individuals at no cost. We do ask if they can help with shipping. That's a big expense. In fact, shipping is nearly a third of our expense for getting an issue out there. But many can't do that, and we're so driven to get them in the hands of the ladies that need it, because occasionally if we were to charge, we've had a couple say, well, if we have to pay anything for this, we don't have it in the budget for extra material like this, so we'd have to cancel. Well, we don't like that, and so we actually offer that to the agencies at no cost, hence the need to operate as a nonprofit 501(c)(3).
So 501(c)(3)?
Yeah.
501. Yeah, that.
C3, gotcha. So you are a nonprofit. So you're based on
That's right.
donations alone. This is
That's right.
amazing. And we're going to get your information out to everybody watching so that they can maybe help support this.
It would
If
be
somebody wanted
awesome.
if somebody wanted to subscribe to the magazine, can they do that? Do you have where
Yeah,
you'll mail it out to you?
Yeah, we do send out individual copies to people that ask. We have actually a pretty good sized list of people that receive one copy on a regular basis. But the dominant way of what we do is volume, and whether an agency can use 5, whether they operate a halfway house and there's only got 15 women in there at a time, then we send 15. Or like I just took to the ship today about nearly 700 Spanish copies to a place that asked for some back issues.
Who does the translations for you then?
Oh, we found a gal that on Fiverr, and she did live in Venezuela and moved to Brazil, and she's excellent. But on top of that, I have a missionary friend who teaches at the graduate level in Latin and Central and Latin America. She understands what we're doing, so she edits just to make sure that everything really conveys to our readers what to do. I'm very proud of it.
Well, that's a God thing right there. That's a God thing.
Yeah.
So the bringing a magazine out is a huge deal, and people who do professional. Let's see it again. By the way, Crystal, hold it up, would you please, so we
Here's
can
our
see
newest issue.
latest edition right there. Check that out. See, that looks great. That is really well done.
Thank you.
And that's hard. Yeah. Most people who you're going to put out a magazine like that, they have experience in it. This is what they've done all their lives, but neither one of you have ever done this before, have you?
Yeah, I'll brag a little bit. The EPA, the Evangelical Press Association, which is a national organization, last year, Reach Up Magazine won 4th place in a national contest for quality and content.
And we were behind Salvation Army, 2 of Salvation Army's magazines, and they've got a big budget and a great team. So I was like, I'm okay with 4th place.
They're doing amazing work too. This is extraordinary because I know a little bit of the work that goes into putting something like this together.
I'd like to learn.
What's the one thing that you have both encountered trying to put? How long has this been going, by the way? Since when?
I began it in 07.
07. You've been doing this magazine since then.
Yeah,
okay.
But it was like,
so it's old hat now. But when you were first starting out, what were some of the things that you thought, oh man, I had no idea this is what it was going to be like?
Well, when I first started out, it was digital. Okay. And I was in a book club that was kind of came out of our church. And in that book club was a friend, and she was at that time the regional director for Southeast Prison Fellowship. And she looked at it and she goes, well, this is nice, but it won't help my women. And that just hit me so hard, because when they're incarcerated, they don't have access. And our demographic, yes, they may have phones, but how are they going to find out about us?
Right.
How would they? And so everything had to suddenly become print. And I started out small. I went out and bought paper, and at the time I was on staff of a large church, and my pastor said, you can use the copier on your own time after hours. So I would, so I did that, and, printed out what I could afford. And that's about 3 or 4 years later. I don't remember all the details. That's when David and I met. By this time I was on the West Coast, and that's when he said, we need to kick it up a bit.
Are you all still, what area? Don't say exactly where, but because they're wicked people.
Oh, I've moved all around. I've been coast to coast, and David's been Central America, so we're Central now. And so now I can go coast to coast.
Okay. In the United States, you're based out of the U.S.?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just think this is so amazing what you're doing. Do you actually do interviews with some of the women and feature them in as articles in the magazine, or is you probably have people coming to you saying, we want to be in your magazine? Can they buy advertising, ad space? Of course, you have to have editorial powers over what's put in there. You got to be careful with that, don't you?
Yeah, a lot of the writers, Crystal doesn't write all the articles. She actually she's the editor-in-chief. She writes the editorial, of course, but most of the articles are written by others that we've found or connected with or been introduced to. We've met them at a conference or whatever, or somehow we met with and we warn them, hey, now we do reserve the right to edit down to a third grade reading level. And some of them oh wow, so we have to do quite a bit of editing for some who write.
That's something I hadn't even thought of. Yeah, because a lot of these, how many of these women that you've encountered in your almost a decade of working with them, Crystal, have actually gone to college? How many of them even finished high school?
Right. Yeah. And many of them
reading is difficult, and
many don't read much. Yeah.
Right.
And so, so we do find people like that to write. In fact, some of the leaders that we run into that have found themselves out of bad situations, like the current issue is an amazing compilation of people like that, success stories, been there, done that type of people. Now, we've not had advertising to speak of, and one of the reasons for that, and we're still working on that, is it's a national magazine. So if we had a local advertiser that doesn't service the state of California or even New York, then what good is that kind of a thing? So that's kind of been a challenge. We are looking at, however, more and more asking about that possibility. And one of those would be, well, perhaps in a local basis, we could do a one-page insert and then put those in, but then we'd have to manually install them. Like in where we live, right, the part of the state where we live, there's about 1,200 copies goes out. Well, if somebody wanted to advertise, and we'd have to add that to the magazine, then Crystal and I are sitting watching TV, putting a add-on sheet in 1,200 copies of the magazine. Well, that's not impossible. We've just not gone there yet. But you can see the problem with the promotion. It needs to be a national situation.
There's somebody I
want
like
you to McDonald's, just McDonald's. How's that?
Sure, of course. National ad buys instead of local.
Yeah.
Or even regional. Regional ad buys are not going to help whomever's buying the advertising. So it is. I can imagine
it is on
services.
Our website.
Companies
we
that
would
do services.
Good.
Oh, there's somebody I want you to meet, though. And I hope you'll follow through with this and write this down. It's yournews.com.
Okay.
Yournews.com. It is once you learn about it and you start promoting through there, and it's not going to cost you anything. You're just supplying content. That's what his name is, Sam Anthony. At yournews.com. I've had him on the show many times. I value him. I've seen how he has helped people I've introduced him to, and they're working together synergistically. And again, this won't cost you anything. He's looking for content providers and reaching out to people in the inner city like this. I don't know of anybody who's doing that through his platform. You'd be the first. So that would be an extraordinary thing. Again,
awesome.
It's free. He doesn't ask for any money. It's just a platform.
Be great.
And he's looking for content providers. But I would love to maybe get him on with the two of you sometime in the future as well.
That'd be good.
How to reach out better, because this is his business. That's what he does.
Cool.
The difficulties that you face from the enemy, how have you experienced that? It's like, oh my goodness, the devil's trying to keep us from getting this magazine out there.
Sometimes, of course, Satan never fights fair. He hits below the belt. And sometimes we find him hitting us as a family in some way, just at the right or wrong time. Why did it have to happen today, or kind of a thing? And sometimes it's a physical thing. Like, for example, if we move to a new area and suddenly the mail in this area doesn't work quite the same, some of the things we've shipped out gets kicked back to us, and we've not had that before. What's going on, and kind of a thing. And sometimes it's the just taking advantage of the low funds, or people not finding out about us. So there are oftentimes, and of course, like I said, Crystal and I have a lifetime of doing battle with Satan. And so we can usually pick up on it pretty quickly, because if it's unusual or exotic, it's Satan. You can count on that.
Right.
And so we could quickly throw a red flag on the play when we see him at work. And I'm sure it's disheartening for him, but that's tough. But so we just make it happen anyhow, because we're going to barrel through.
This is amazing what you're doing. I'm just so pleased that I met you.
Thank you. Likewise.
I want to do anything I can to help. So where do we find your magazine? How do we help? Do you have a website? How can we give? How can we support your ministry?
All right, two things. First of all, I want to make clear, we actually have two resources. The first resource that we're talking about now is the physical print and getting the physical magazine out there. And that's the core. It's very fundamental. But the second resource that we have, which is new to market here, actually just in the last few years, we have a website that is user friendly just for the ladies themselves, where it's called myreachup.org. The ladies can go there on their phone or on a computer or whatever, and they can read or they can listen to the articles. There's videos there's how-to, there's success stories, other resources that are being developed with that. That resource alone needs to get promoted. It's like one of the best kept secrets in poverty elimination that's out there, is having this resource at their fingertips 24/7. And we're the only ones that have something like that that's nationwide.
And that's so what's that address again?
myreachup.org.
myreachup.org.
Yep, that's for the ladies. Now, the webpage that discusses the organization, gives our background, and even publishes the issues there, that has the link that includes donations, and also if you want to advertise, all those kind of things, that's reachupmag.org. reachupmag.org. And those two web pages are fundamental to what we do.
You probably have people saying, "Well, what about the men? How come you're not helping the men? How come you're not reaching out to the men?" Well, I'm going to make a statement here, and you don't have to say a word about it, in agreement or against it. I think that most of the men are the ones responsible for what has happened to these women, by literally just hitting it and quitting it. They're looking for some action, or somebody to take care of them for a while, or it's a sexual thing, and the kids come along and they're out of the picture, and they can't even be claimed as fathers anyway, otherwise they lose their benefits, so on and so forth. It's also pathetic, and it's typical of the government that is creating a dependent society.
Yeah.
And these men, you call them deadbeat dads, call them whatever you want. It's the whole system is just so corrupt and pathetic. So you are making inroads and reaching out into a world that the devil has dominated.
Right. Yep.
So I can only imagine the obstacles that have been thrown your way.
And silencing us is one of his tactics, if you please, keeping us under the radar, keeping us out of sight, out of mind. And we've had many men come to us. In fact, this last year, we met a guy who runs he's actually not far from us, that we met before we moved to where we are. But anyway, he says, I manage a food pantry, and we distribute to this large demographics. He says, I love your magazine. He says, in fact, before we hand one of them out, I sit down and read the whole thing. He says, I get a lot out of it. I know it's for the women, but I get a lot out of it. Well, the point is, many times the heart thinking and spiritual needs that the women have that we're addressing, the men have the same problems. And so it relates. But we maintained our demographics to the ladies.
Yeah. Good.
It's what we do well. And with the staff, volunteer staff, and with our budget, it's what we have to stay at. I don't know the mind of a man. I mean, I'm good doing well to learn David. But if ever it was to expand for men, for children, that's true. It's needed. But right now, things as they are, we need to just concentrate on what we do well with.
No, I love it. I love it because I don't see anybody else doing it.
Right. And that's
So-
the point.
I just think it's fantastic. So reachupmag. Did you say
Org.
org?
Or yeah.
Yeah.
Reachupmag.org is where you can find all the information on this. Can
Yeah,
we,
they
can
can
we get-
donate. And if
Good.
they donate, I'll always send you a magazine so you get to see and feel what you're donating to. So that's a given. And yeah, spread the news. You know,
Exactly.
my God dream is to be blanket every community with Reach Up.
I love it. Oh man, more power to you.
Thank you.
Keep fighting the good fight. It was a pleasure
will.
meeting the both of you. Thank you.
Thank
Good
you
to
very
meet you.
much.
Thanks for
Absolutely. Wow. That is truly the Lord's work. Jesus told us to take care of the widows and orphans and the poor and those incarcerated. Those are the four people groups he told us to reach out to first. The harvest is plentiful, but the workers are few. Well, you just met two great ones there. And I am Charlie Simons, your host here on Do Not Talk, talking to the people that the media keeps telling me not to talk to. Like those folks there. They're probably not getting a lot of support from mainstream, definitely is ignoring them because they're God-based. That's why. So reach out to me. You can actually be a part of the show like Crystal and David just did. You can book a guest slot on my show. I'd love to hear what you're doing at charliesimons.com. I also have a merch store there. You can buy like this. Let's talk about politics and religion. There's my big old 15-ounce mug right there. Of course, it's red. And I got shirts, I got hats, I got mugs, I got all kinds of things there. And the company I work with shares in the profits that they make with me. So you'll be helping support this ministry and you'll get something cool out of it. I'm already seeing all kinds of Christmas stuff. So, hey, just in time for Christmas, I encourage you to do that at charliesimons.com. And anything else you need, contact me directly, whatever. And join my Team Charlie because Facebook deleted every single one of my accounts, every single one of my pages. They deleted them 3.5 months ago. So I don't have any way to really reach out like I did before to let you know I have a new show on. So you can help by sharing, but join Team Charlie through my website with your email address. I'll never spam you. I'll never sell your information ever. I'm not that guy. CharlieSimons.com. May God bless you and keep you. May God bless America. But most importantly, America bless God. That was awesome.